Welcome everyone to Client Acquisition and Scaling for Web Devs, SEOs, and Marketing Agencies. This is our Monday Mindset with me, Lisa Parziel, and we do this every Monday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So hopefully you join us every week to get your business going, to get motivated, and start getting on the fast track to success. As such, this is sponsored by Agency Fast Track. It's where you can go to really build, scale, and move your business forward. So if you haven't checked it out, check out agencyfasttrack.com. Now, today's quote is from Mr. Jim Rohn and is very, very important to kind of set the stage for what we're going to do today. And Jim said, time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time, right? We can always make more money, but we can't make more time. Time is going to tick away and be gone, whether we like it or not. Whereas money, we can make. So we need to let time work for us and not the opposite. And that is kind of today's Monday mindset. Getting us in the right mindset in our business is key. So hope you have fun with some of the pictures. We spent some time playing with them. Yesterday was Easter, so we tried to use some fun Easter colors for yesterday's post. And basically, I was floored. I was seriously floored. Back in the day, one day I had learned how to calculate my hourly wage. I was reading a book and I thought, man, I'm going to calculate this. I'm going to see what's going on. And I was shocked, mortified, disgusted, and I felt kind of foolish. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about not only what my hourly wage was at the time, we're going to talk about everything from how to calculate your hourly wage all the way through what my hourly wage is even today. So hopefully that's an exciting, motivating Monday for you. We'll be here about 30 minutes and then we'll get you on your way so you can really go out and crush it in business. So when I first started, I had a day job like almost everybody. We kind of start this on the side. And at the time, I was getting paid around $72 an hour in my day job. Great job, right? I had full benefits, paid holidays, 10 sick days, and 4 weeks of vacation. By all intents and purposes, it kind of was the American dream, right? That's what people want, a good paying job with great benefits, 401k matches, everything, right? Had all sorts of stuff. That's when I first started my company. Now, my business at the time was paying me a whopping $16 and change an hour. Honestly, I was working for pennies comparably to what I was making. Now, for some people in the world, $16 an hour is nothing to laugh at. It's good money. But here's the thing. I was doing that. I had absolutely no benefits. And I was working over 70 hours per week to get it done, to make the money. Because remember, I had to go out and I had to find the food, hunt for the food, kill the food, cook the food, clean up after, etc. Right? I'm using a metaphor, but I had to go find the business. I had to close the business. I had to do the business. I was having to collect on the money. I was having to do the taxes, file the taxes. I was doing everything. And frankly, it's too much. 70 plus hours a week I was working on my business and working a full-time job. And I know a lot of people ask me, Lisa, well, they do the math. I go, well, like basically you slept. I'm like, yeah, I worked and I slept and I worked and I slept. And I did nothing else because I thought mistakenly that's what I had to do for success. But I kept learning and I kept educating myself and going to masterminds and occasionally buying a program, but for the most part, reading a ton of books. So back then, the internet and YouTube was not quite as popular or I hadn't been clued into it yet. So I wasn't watching a lot of videos or doing things like this. That was a hard realization, right? I figured out the number And boom, I had replaced my day job for a worse paying job, right? Because I really didn't own the business at that point in my life. The business owned me, right? I could not go and do what I wanted when I wanted to do. Instead, I was working all the time. It left me feeling a little bit foolish. I will admit, after I did that, after I calculated my number, after I figured out what I was making, I was more than defeated. I was more than depressed, and I felt a lot more than foolish. I literally almost quit. I almost quit my business and thought, if this is how hard I've had to work to make 16 bucks an hour and I'm making 70 something at my day job, maybe the day job is better. Unfortunately, by then I'd already, didn't have a day job. So I would have to go find a new day job, right? Sure, maybe I can make the same amount. Maybe I could even make more. But I didn't do that. Instead, I kind of let that be the pivotal point in my business. I let that be the fuel that motivated me. And that's why we come here every Monday, right? To get motivated. I let that be my motivation for, I've got to do better. I've got to figure out how to make more money working less hours. That's the key. Work less, make more, right? So how does it happen to me, right? How did I let myself go there? How did I start a business and foolishly make 16 bucks an hour, right? I was an executive. I worked for a major corporation. I ran an entire department. I was smart, right? And I was working for 16 bucks an hour. How does that happen? Well, I'll be quite frank. I thought back then mistakenly that I was different, that I was just the foolish one. What I've learned over the years is it happens to almost everybody, because most of us that get into business, we don't have degrees. We didn't go to business school. We're winging it at best. And so I also learned that I was not alone and it was normal. But around the same time, I started learning how to fix it and how to do better. But the first step, the first stage was always, I had to figure out where I was today before I can worry about where I want to be tomorrow. And that's what we're here to do today. We're going to talk about that in depth. So I actually did not have this lovely calculator back then. I actually was reading a book, and it was called Your Money or Your Life. Your Money or Your Life. And you guys can look that up. It was a phenomenal book. It was not a business book. In fact, it was not about business at all. But instead, the premise was, would you trade your life for these material things? And in fact, the book was really revolved around how to be frugal and how to live on less. Unfortunately, I only took what I wanted out of the book. I'm sure the authors would be mortified to know what I took out of it was not that I needed to spend less or live less. I just needed to make more money. And that's how this came to be. So I actually created this hourly wage calculator for our Agency Fast Track X Success course. It's a really, really huge calculator, but this is just a snippet from it to just do as an example today. We don't have time to go over, the whole thing. So I'm going to open up that calculator and I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, see if we can't get that bigger on the screen. And I want to illustrate this. Now you can quickly look at the contrast and do the math, but I want to go through this. So when I first started, I was what we would call a worker, right? I was literally doing website design, and at the time, very little SEO, and I was doing it for very little money, right? So at the time, I was selling websites for, I would say $21.95. I remember saying it all the time, but sometimes I'd go down to $18.95 and sometimes even lower. And so I would end up really selling them for about $2,000 average. And way back in the beginning, I might be able to sell 2 per month every month. But every time I would stop, Now, this is the very, very beginning when I would have to stop and do. So I would have to create 2 websites. And by the time you built it, put it on a server, back then I didn't have the efficient processes I have today. I didn't have the software and the tools and everything I have today, right? It would take me roughly 60 to 80 hours, 60 to 80 hours to build one website. Now, I've heard people tell me, oh, I could build it in 4, or I could build it in 5. Now I'm talking about, I was creating the images and I was creating the graphics and I was writing the content, for the customer. Not smart to do all that stuff for a mere $2,000, but that's what I was doing. And so I could do maybe 2 a month, and I still had to do some SEO as well, because I had, a couple of SEO customers at the time. So same thing, I was doing all the SEO. I was writing the blogs. I was optimizing everything. I was doing it all. And when I was doing that, here's just for illustrative purposes, I was selling SEO around $750 a month. Not smart either. So on average, I was bringing in about $4,000 a month on websites, and $750, or I probably had a few customers by then, so a little bit more, but for illustrative purposes, we'll just look at this. So I was making about $4,750. I was making $4,750. I was bringing in almost $5,000 of extra revenue. So literally $60,000. Now this was like year 1 or 2. And I was bringing in about $60,000 of revenue. Not bad for a starter business. I'm sure there's some of you guys sitting there and say, I would love to do that. But the problem was right here. This was my problem. I was doing all the work. I like the analogy I told you before. I was hunting, I was killing, cooking, cleaning up, everything. I was doing it all. And that equated to $16.96 an hour, or somewhere in there. Now, I want to just illustrate this. You think to yourself, well, I could up my revenue by selling 4 websites and maybe getting a total of 4 SEO clients over time. Yeah, great. But then wouldn't I have to up my hours because I'm still doing the work, right? So maybe I get a little bit more efficient and I start doing a little bit more. And then, maybe I'm doing 160 hours here now. And maybe I'm doing 160 there. So I'm upping my hours. And yeah, I've doubled my hourly wage. But now I'm working 80 and 90 hours a week. And if you still have a full-time job, you're doing that on top of this. Not sustainable, will never grow, and you'll be frustrated forever. Now, luckily for me, I got out of that. And I'm going to put this back to the original. I got out of that because I started getting smart. The very first VA contractor that I hired was a web developer. So I got a web developer. So I started transitioning into what I call the CXO, the Chief X Operator, the person who is going to run the business and not work in the business, but instead work on the business. And it's a term we coin in our Agency Fast Track X Success program. You're the CXO. So I did something. Notice in this square right here, I hired a web designer. At the time, I wasn't even paying $1,000 a month, but the going rate nowadays is probably around $1,000 a month. Back then when I started, I could get a web developer $550, $600 a month. And then as they grew, I paid more, but you're probably going to start at about $1,000 a month to get a good web designer. Now, so I have this web designer who can do the work. Now I'm still going to have to do something in there. I'm still going to have to, maybe get some articles written and find somebody to write those, and might have to get some graphics and find someone to do that. But the bulk of the work, the build, the design, the creating of the pages, etc. If I could get that web designer to follow my process, I'd be gold. And what ended up happening was I was able to churn out 8 websites a month instead of 2. And my average price went up, but I'm, for illustrative purposes here, going to leave it at the same rate. I did start charging more, but I'm going to leave it at the same rate. So let's say we sold 8 websites at $2,000. Mind you, I have $1,000 labor cost that I got to take away, but 8 times 2 is $16,000, but I'm only having to pay 1,000. Now, let's be frank. I probably need a graphic designer. I probably need a writer in there too. But even if each of those, cost $1,000, I'd still be doing good. So if I came here and said, oh, $3,000, notice I'm still making more than before, right? And that's what's key. The other thing, I unzoomed, let me get back in there. The other thing I want you guys to consider, okay, is that your hours are going down, right? And maybe I'm being like right now, I put in the hours I work today on my business, probably 30 or so a month is probably what I work on my business, 30, 35. On my agency, I have other things I do. So I'm always working like this. I don't count this as part of my agency. So therefore it's not included. You're probably going to still be working more hours, right? So your pay is probably not going to jump from $16 to $458 an hour. Probably not. And by the way, this is not my hourly wage. My hourly wage now is actually higher because we bring in way more than what I've shown here. Again, illustrative purposes. But I'm working less hours and making more money. And this was what happened to me. Kind of, these hours were a little bit different, but it kind of took about 6 or 7 years for me to perfect this, right? I first got the know and I got a web developer. Then after that, soon after, I found a freelance graphic designer. Then I started getting freelance writers, right? But my hours didn't jump down to 20. They didn't, because I was still managing the projects. I was still managing the people. I was still managing, the process. When I hired a project manager, that's when my life changed. That's when I was able to do this type of hours. So keep that in mind. I'm trying to illustrate this in a way that really shows the biggest wow, so you guys get the idea, but it's still work, right? It's still work to get there. Now, at the end, I'm going to tell you, we have a program that fast tracks this whole process, that helps you learn how to do everything without having to figure it out. You don't have to go through the 6 or 7 years. Instead, it might take you a year or two to get to where I got. But the idea is simple. We're working less. Now, as I got more time in my business, as I started hiring people and buying tools and figuring out how to do things in a more streamlined manner, I actually had so much more time for sales that I was able to pick and choose my customers, right? I had time to work my methods. I had time to work my lead gen, and I had time, which meant my average sale kept going up. So then I was starting to make, for instance, $3,000 per website. And eventually, right now, we settle right around the 3,500 average, because we get a lot of 5 or 15,000, or, that'll bring our average up. But for the most part, most websites we sell are in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. So 3,500 is probably where we sit quite often. Now, my labor's a little bit more now because I have more than one person. My labor is obviously, a little bit higher these days. My SEO, same thing. Now, on average, our customers are worth $2,000 each. And we don't just have 4, we have over 20 customers, right? Look, my number got so big, it broke the calculator here. I gotta make this a little bit wider, right? But again, my hours have decreased, right? So, and what I tell people now, I make anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 an hour. That's what I make now, right? Just a huge, huge amount of money. 27 times the amount of money I used to make at my corporate job at $72 an hour. And I work less hours to do it, which is amazing, right? So as I grew my business, I started growing, this revenue and these numbers. Now I'm going to reset this back to where it was. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to give you a copy of this calculator. So when you think about what you do today, all you need to do, you don't have to make it hard. You got to figure out on average, how many of what X, if it's not web design, if it's content writing, if it's Google ads, whatever you're doing, how much How many hours do you spend? What's the average price you get for it? Just put these things in. If you need to add another row, add another row. But add that stuff up. And I think you're going to be unpleasantly surprised by your hourly wage. Most people are, if you are still doing all the work. The key to success, the key to freedom, the key to living the lifestyle that I do, which, by the way, still includes work. I do work. The key is to work smart and not work hard. The key is to let your money work for you and not use your time to work. And this calculator, as simple as it seems, you know, the one thing people who go through my programs learn very quickly is I love calculators. I love spreadsheets. I like numbers because they're logical. It's hard to argue with a number. If I do the math and my math sucks and it doesn't look good for me, the only choice I have is to fix it, right? And that's why I love calculators, because they tell me a story I need to hear, right? I need to hear the story in order to make that mindset change, to actually change myself, to actually change my business. And I am by no means smart, brilliant, anything like that. I just happen to know how to break things down that gives me that aha moment, that gives me that kick in the butt to fix it. So going from 16 and change an hour to when I was in the mid part of my business, I jumped up to almost 500 an hour. Anyone think that might have motivated me? And that's why I just kept going, right? I just kept hiring people, because the big key here is I was not doing the work. And when I'm not doing the work, I'm making money on other people's time, which means I'm multiplying my time. So remember in the beginning, I said you can make more money, but you can't make more time. I can't make more time for me, but I can buy the time of other people. And I know that sounds harsh. And if you're the people doing the work, it's harsh, right? It's harsh to think about that. You know, you should be thinking about how to go out and do the same thing for yourselves, right? And so when you look at a calculator like this, it really drives home the point. So with that said, let's take a look at the type of success we want to think about it. The program that we have, our signature program called X Success, really deals with the mindset, really deals with how to structure your business, how to actually, you know, think the right way. What are the little tips and tricks and methodologies you can use on the way up, right? And so take a look. As a worker, you're going to make $16.96 an hour in our example. As a CXO, almost 500 an hour. That's 27 times the amount of money. That's 27x, right? I know which one I'd rather be. And our net revenue didn't 27x, right? Our net revenue didn't, because our net revenue only went from $47.50 to $17,000 a month. I just said the word only. I don't know if that's even the right word to say, right? I 3.5x'd the money, but I'm doing less work because I used to work 280 hours. Now I'm working 32 a month. So I've reduced my hours by 8.75x. And that's why we call our program X Success, as a matter of fact, because X stands for everything you want in life, but it also stands for all of the numbers, all the factors. And we are very scientific and we are very mathematical in the way we teach, because it's just numbers. Business should not be something you take amazingly personal. When I figured out I was making $16 an hour, at first I felt defeated. I felt foolish. I had all these feelings. But then I thought, you know what? Fix it. Just fix it. And that's what I did. So I want you, if you take no other screenshot, take a screenshot of this, because this should be what you're thinking about when you're building your business. Not, you know what, I don't have time to go out and hire that person, or I don't have the money to go out and hire that person. Really? You don't have the time or money? Because if you hire that person, you're going to get back time and you're going to get back money. It's a mindset shift in my business I had to make. And I had a hard time making this mindset shift because remember the beginning of my story, right? Did I have plenty of money? Yes. Yes, I was making 70 something bucks an hour. I had no problem. My wife was working and making money. We had no money problems whatsoever. But yet I didn't invest in my business, right? I would use the same excuses everyone else does. Oh, we don't have the money. But we did. It's a mindset shift. You will find the money for things you really want in life, won't you? And so when you find the money to hire somebody, it matters and it makes an impact. So if this is resonating with you right now, you guys have been scarily silent. If this is resonating with you, type yes in the chat, type yes in the comments. If this is motivating you, type yes. If this is getting you excited, type yes, right? Just let me know that this stuff is really kind of hitting home, right? Okay, so as we think about time or money, and as we think about what I just said, which is more important, time or money? Ask yourself that. Time or money, which is more important to you? I mistakenly thought it was time. I'm sorry, it was money. I mistakenly thought that money was more important. I would spend my time because I need to keep my money. I would spend my time because I need to have that money. And embarrassingly, I will give you this. I bought cars and I bought boats and I bought all sorts of things with the money that I was starting to make. But I was working 80 plus hours a week. Not the way to go. Had I just knew what you're learning today, I could have spent a little money to get a lot more back to buy a lot more things, right? So whether it's material things or putting away for kids' college or paying off a house or putting away for retirement, whatever you want the money for, if we invest our money, we get more time. And the more time we invest in our business on the right things, the bigger our businesses get, right? Or I shouldn't even say big. The more efficient they get and the more money we get per hour for being a part of that business. Okay, when you're not working all the time, you can actually prospect and grow your business. You have time to go out and do lead gen. You have time to go meet with clients in person. You have time to actually focus on revenue generating activities. And that's why this calculator was so important to my growth and why it made such a big impact in my business, because I can't do everything, right? I cannot do everything. And hiring people, pretty small part of your business, pretty small part of the process, but you have to stop trading time for money. And the only way to do it is to get more time. And the only way to get more time, you can't get more time because you're you, is to get other people to help you, and you're borrowing their time. You're borrowing their clock. You're borrowing their hours. You're paying them, and then they're doing things that make you even more money. Okay, it's investing in your business. You have to invest in your business. You come here, sometimes I see some of the same people every week, right? I see people come in, I see people, not come in for a while and then come back. Invest the time in your business. Invest the time in free and paid training. Invest the time in learning how to hire. Invest the time in hiring. And invest your money. Because when you invest, you're investing in yourself. Remember that. This is your business. You own it. And I struggled with that for so long. I struggled with spending money on me. I had a lot of baggage. I had a lot of issues that I had to deal with. Somebody in the comments just said that it's very common sense. However, as starting a business, the deep down doubt is, if I free myself up, am I confident I will make the extra sales? And that's true, right? Confidence is key. It's definitely one of the keys, right? And we have lots of Monday mindsets we've done about confidence and about other things. Today, it's really about, one topic, but it is about so many different things, right? Imagine when you think about spending $1,000 a month, your worry is, oh my gosh, if I spend this $1,000 a month, what happens if I can't sell 2 websites this month? Here's the thing. What if you can only sell 1? So what? You're not doing the work. You're not doing the work. And while they're doing that 70, 60, 80, whatever it takes you to do that website, you spend that time wisely, right? You don't squander that time. You spend that time wisely doing lead gen methods, taking training, reading books, watching YouTube videos, whatever it is to help you learn how to do more, how to get that lead gen process nailed, how to have a constant influx of customers. So you never have to worry about that again. Because here's the thing, while you're doing the work, you'll never have the time to do the other. And that's the problem, right? We don't have enough time. So I get it. Confidence is huge, but you have to take that leap of faith. And here was a great example. Someone once said to me, and I thought it was an amazing example. I once said to someone, I don't have the money. And this was a business coach. And the business coach thought for a minute, looked straight at me and said, oh, by the way, didn't y'all just get a new RV? Like, yeah. It's really cool. It just got me in a conversation about that. Okay. You guys have like 3 cars, right? Yeah. We have 3 cars. Now I already had a sneaking suspicion where he was going, but I'd already gone down the path, right? And he said, do you make payments on all those things? Yeah, of course. If I want them, I have to pay for them. And are they going to bring you any return in money? Are they going to bring you any value? No. Are they going to lose value, as a matter of fact? Yep. And he looked straight at me and said, Lisa, why is it that you have no problem investing in material things that won't amount to anything except pleasure, yet you won't invest in yourself or your business that could bring you more money, more time, and more pleasure? That was powerful, right? And I had to think about that. Yeah, I made car payments every month. I was making an RV payment. I figured out how to make things work, right? And I would go and work more hours. I got to go find more business because I got to make that payment. And it was like an aha moment for me, right? Like, wow, I make it happen when I want something. Shouldn't I want free time? And it became my number one mission. Literally, after that coaching session, it was my number one mission to take as much off my plate. It was after that coaching session. And this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I went out and I started, thinking about, I wanted to hire someone. I wanted to get a PM to help me, et cetera, et cetera. And magically, somebody walked back into my life from my previous life that was looking for work in our line of business, that wanted to learn and wanted the freedom to work from home, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the rest is history. I hired that person. We work together now, and it's the best investment I ever made. And yes, it costs more than the car payment, and it costs more than all the other things. But guess what? I've made more money because of it. In fact, it to me, people, I don't even see people as an expense anymore. I don't. I see people as an investment. I invest in them. I treat them well. I give them raises. I encourage them to do their own thing if that's what they want. If they don't, that's okay too. But I invest in people because people are my borrowed time I need, so I don't have to do all the work myself. So, the person who said that in the comments, and these I don't tend to name names because that way you guys feel a lot freer to make your comments. But I will say confidence is something that you have to have in yourself, right? I'll make this work no matter what. So maybe it's you get a job, and we teach this, by the way, in our program. And if you're not in our program, you need to consider it. X Success. We start again April 26th. If you have joined our program and haven't gone all the way through or haven't been, there in a while, remember, when we sell our program, we sell it with unlimited access for life. So when we start that new session, April 26th, come back, go through the program again. Remind yourself of why you need to make these changes, right? We walk you through, we show you how to do everything. The confidence comes with the fact that I'm not going to settle. Every month you figure out how to make the car payment. Every month you figure out how to make the mortgage. Your business has to be the same way. That was hard for me. I don't want it to sound like I'm trying to make it easy, because it's not. It was a hard transition for me to make. I had a lot of baggage with money. I had a lot of baggage with my upraising and, my parents and grandparents and things like that. I had a lot of baggage I had to work through. A lot of my money issues, a lot of my problems came from my childhood, and I had to deal with that. And until I dealt with it, I was never going to be hugely successful. And success to me, by the way, is not money. It's freedom. It's freedom, because we only get one life to live on this planet. We don't want to work all the time. We want to have a life. We want to have experience. We want to get to the end. Ask 100 billionaires or millionaires, was it worth it? And I bet a lot of them tell you it wasn't. They gave up everything. And at the end, they look back and thought, man, all I ever did was work. I want to make sure that doesn't happen to me. All right. So good question, good comments. You guys are more than welcome to make them in these, and we record these. So if you happen to be watching replays, don't make comments. We'll address them. Now, remember, you can make a change. And I've offered this for the past few weeks. I'm offering this to people who have never met with me, because I know that if I spend 30 minutes with you, whether you join a program or not, that's not what we're there for. I'm not there to sell you a program, right? We do webinars where you can learn about the program. In fact, next week is a scheduled webinar. This session will be a scheduled webinar where we're going to go over our program, right? We're going to sacrifice motivation, although it's a very motivating webinar. I promise you, do come. I want to spend 30 minutes with you personally, me, you, 30 minutes on a Zoom call, right? I want to look at your current status. I'll whip open calculators. I do that. I want to talk about where you are today, what you do, and then kind of put some strategy together for your future. If you are that person, that's on the fence saying, man, I just don't know what to do. I need to make a change. Remember, I'm not there to sell you a program. Okay. I am there to talk strategy and figure out where you're at to see where you need to go. Okay. I want to do that. So you can do that. You're going to go to that link on the screen. On that screen, there's a place for you to sign up for a free strategy session. I want you to do that. And anyone who signs up for that session, I'm going to give you my calculator. If you already are in our programs, you should already have the calculator. If you don't, hit me up. I'll give it to you. If you've already had a free strategy session with me and you just want the calculator, hit me up. I'll give it to you, whether it be Skype, Portside MKT, PORTSIDE MKT on Skype, or you can hit me up on Facebook. Thank you, Craig. Craig said in the comments, I took Lisa up on this. She never pushed to sell her programs. It was a great call. 100% recommend. Thank you again for the call. You're very welcome. I am not a pushy person. If our program's good for you, you'll figure it out really quick. And I'll tell you about them if you ask me to, but if not, this is a pure strategy call. So just go and schedule a time. My calendar is fairly booked over the next few weeks, but there's times open so you can get a time and book a call. Just book a call. We'll just chat. Unfortunately, I don't want to talk about everything in your life. I don't want to go down that path because I want to focus on strategy, implementable strategy that you can start thinking about immediately to make a difference in your business, right? And someday, when we meet at an event somewhere, we can talk all about your life history and things like that. But this session is pure work. I want to get the work done and figure out where we can make some changes in your business to get you off that plateau, to get you unstuck, or if you're just starting, to get you going. So go ahead and go there to book an appointment. And I like to make sure everyone knows we do have that new group, Agency Fast Track X Success, our signature program, and it's an amazing program. It's 12 weeks of live. You get free group coaching for 12 weeks in a row, starting April 26th. And next week, we are going to have a very special offer for people in the client acquisition and scaling group. We are actually selling to our family, our agency fast track family first. If we fill up the course, we're not going public. And we have a couple, I want to say 3 JVs lined up. And if we sell all our spots, we're going to cancel those calls. So something to keep in mind. I'd rather my family get in, and we're going to limit that wave to 50 seats. We have not done this program since, gosh, the last time we started it was September of 2021, and it went through November, and we hadn't done it this year. So this is the first and possibly the last for a while, because we only do it 2 or 3 times a year now. Just because I want that time. It's a 12-week live. I like to take some time off. I just took, 5 months off, so I'm ready to get back into it. But we're going to do it again. It's an amazing program. All right, guys. Remember to get on the fast track to success, always visit agencyfasttrack.com. Remember, every week, come here. Some weeks we talk about mindset. That's really, really pertinent with calculators. Others, it's lead gen or sales. We have tons of replays you can find on our YouTube channel or in the Facebook group. In the Facebook group, it's under the guides section. They are a little bit easier to find on YouTube, so you can check us out. Just type in Agency Fast Track on YouTube and you will find us. Remember, guys, to change your business, you first have to start by changing your mind. We'll see you guys here next week. I hope you guys have an amazing, prosperous, productive week. Let's get on it. And next week, tell me if you got any wins. Don't forget to jump in any of our groups and let us know when you get some wins. Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing week.